February is a Black History Month. The month of February, yes, it's a Black History Month, and that's the month when we celebrate, we honor the work that has been done by Black communities the world over. We remember the strength of the Black communities. We remember their resilience, and not only remembering, but giving them the honor that they deserve. But for today, I'm going to narrow down and focus on one very specific group when we are looking at the bigger one of Black communities, and this is the group of Black female immigrants. And these are the Black female immigrants who continue to be caregivers of elderly parents who live a distance away from them. So if you're new here, welcome to the Caring for Elderly Parents from Afar. This is a place where we come and hold discussions around the issue of distance caregiving. And why distance caregiving? Because as immigrants, many immigrants don't completely move away from the place or the countries where they were born. Part of the reason being that they have a larger family that they've left behind. So you'll find that they live, as we say, 1 foot in their new country and 1 foot in the country where they were born. So that's the group of people that we are going to talk about today. And as I said, we will focus on African women immigrants who continue to be caregivers to elderly or to aging parents that are back home in their countries of birth. And for those of you who are new here, my name is Eileen. I come here to share my skill and experience from caregiving. I've been a caregiver to my elderly parent, and I continue to do that. So I have experience from in-person caregiving, and currently I'm doing the remote caregiving, providing care from a distance. And this distance of mine is some 13,000 kilometers away from where my parent lives. As a result of having been an in-person caregiver and now doing the remote caregiving, I was like, I have gained so many skills that I would like to share with my other brothers and sisters who are also immigrants and going through this experience of providing remote care. So as a professional, as an immigrant, I have first-hand experience of this. That's why I come here to share. And that's why today I said I'll be talking about the Black women who are caregivers as part of the month-long celebration. So what we find, what I call the unspoken reality when it comes to long-distance caregiving, what we find is that many a time we used to assume that caregiving involves just giving money, like sending money home, which immigrants do very well. If you look at statistics in relation to remittances, the money that we remit back to our countries of birth, it's a lot of money. It's good money. But then what has been realized or discovered over time is that most or part of the money that we send home, sometimes it's not used according to maybe how we would have liked to see it used. And that includes also when it comes to caregiving. Sometimes or many a time we can send money home. But then have we ever paused to ask, like, especially to our elderly parents, do they know what they need? And even if they know, do they prioritize? How do they prioritize items? Because for us, we might send the money and be like, Mom, Dad, this is money for your food. This is money for your, in case you need to visit a doctor. So it will be money for your medicine, money for their basic necessities. But then our definition of basic necessities might be totally different from their definition. So that money might arrive home and another relative who does not have a source of money like our parents do, if they have you in a city or even abroad. So if another relative visits them and tells them they are hungry or they have somebody who is unwell, rest assured that your parent is going to look at that as a priority, because they will be like, oh, let me give my relative this because they don't have the type of safe net that I have, because for them, they know that tomorrow or the day after, if they fall sick, if they are unwell, they will just call you. That phone call will come, and they know that if it's to do with sickness or them being hungry, they know that you are going to give the money. So our priorities might not be their priorities because they live in a different environment, in a different setting. So what do we do as African professional women, immigrants, and especially those of us who are in our midlife? The best that we can do is to have a plan, some sort of a strategy, which will help us, move away from being reactive into being proactive. And this is based on what I've learned over time as a caregiver, that it becomes easier if we learn to be proactive. So in such a case, you might be asking like, oh, what am I expected to do? Because I cannot travel home now to go and be with my elderly parent, to make sure that the money they receive, they are making good use of it. And I'm sure you are thinking of, if I return back home, it means even this money will not be forthcoming, because I'm able to send the money because I've moved away from home. So you could be struggling with that question of, how do I manage the two? And I'm here to tell you from experience that it's possible. And one of the things that you need to do, as I've just mentioned, is to be proactive more than being reactive. If you become proactive, you're going to find that after a short while, because being proactive means putting a system in place that will enable you provide for the needs of your parents. And by the time you get somewhere at a level where you provide for their safety, security, food, medical, basic necessities that will ensure that they continue to lead a safe and happy life. Once they achieve that, you are going to be surprised how relieved you are going to feel. It's like it will set you free now to focus more on what took you away from the place that you call home. And in that area, I already have a structure which borrows a lot from my experience. So you can comment below and let us know what you're struggling with. And also let us know where you are tuning in from, so that that way when I respond to any of your questions, then I'll be putting that into perspective as well. So, but just in summary, in a nutshell, what will be included in the strategy that you'll be developing will be, maybe you assess and see, do your elderly parents need some sort of care or help? Like, do they need you to hire an in-person, that's somebody who will live with them and take care of them or help in taking care of them? So you can do an analysis to see what type of help they need. And based on that, you might decide to hire somebody to help them, or to notify relatives who are back home so that they can see when to go in and help. You might decide to send your parents, your aging parents or in-laws, to go for medical checkups more frequently, so that that way then you need to know their health status, so that you don't get surprised, like, oh, so and so is unwell, we've taken them to hospital, they've been admitted, because so many of us receive those phone calls. But you can be proactive by sending them for a checkup before they fall sick. And another way that you can be proactive is to help your elderly parents to develop a meal plan, so that that way, if they are following it, then you will be like, okay, in this area, I think they are eating well. They are not going to fall sick because they are missing some nutrients. And you can also put some sort of a communication plan in place, like how often you communicate with your elderly parents. And if it's possible, you can even decide to be doing a video communication, so that way, if there's something happening but they are not telling you in relation to their health, then you will have a chance to see it and do something about it before it becomes a crisis. So that's one of the things that I would recommend you do. Put a system in place, some sort of a checklist to help you provide care. Another way that you can do it to help and make it easy for you is to build a local support network or a support system. And this basically involves like relating more or communicating more with the people back home. It can be the hired labor. If you decided above that your elderly parents will need hired labor to help them, then it's how do you communicate with this hired labor? Or you might decide that your parents do not need somebody to come and live with them, but they need more frequent visits from relatives and friends. So how do you strengthen communication with these people so that they can be checking on your parents? And this is in response to helping you realize that you cannot do all this alone. If you try to do that, you might end up needing help faster than your elderly parents. So find a way to build a network or a system which will be some sort of helping you when you are not able to do everything. For example, if you hear or if your parent calls you and they tell you they are not feeling so well, instead of panicking so much, if you've set in place a support network, then all that you might have to do is to call this friend or to call this relative and be like, oh, I need your help. My parent is not feeling so well. can you organize so that they get to hospital? And when you are talking about the support network might also involve, knowing the medical facilities around and even knowing some of the medical providers, so that in such a case, if your elderly parent is being taken to hospital, maybe after you've called the relative, after that, you'll call the medical facility and talk maybe to the doctor there and be like, oh, my relative, my parent, or my in-law will arrive there maybe today or tomorrow. Please, can you attend to them? I'll pay the bill. So that way, after you've organized all this, it means that at the individual level, you'll stop panicking that, oh, my parent is unwell, who is going to help? Will they get to hospital? But because you have this support network, it will make everything feel like it will lighten up the load that you could be carrying. And in relation to building this support network, we need to invest in some communication, safety and communication tools. So in relation to safety, it might be, for example, if your parents live alone, if they've insisted that maybe they want to age in place in their house, maybe the village, and if you feel that the place is not so secure for them, if they are living alone, then you can start thinking about how do we make that place more secure. It might be just putting up a simple fence, or it might involve hiring a guard, maybe in the night, or it might even involve installing cameras so that you are able to see who is coming in and who is leaving the compound of your elderly parents. And these are just things that you implement to help put you at ease, instead of maybe like now when I'm talking, back home in Kenya, it's already in the night, people have gone to bed. Instead of worrying like, oh, now it's in the night, those people have slept, is everything secure? Actually, it puts you at a better position to take care of them in the night. Like if you have security cameras around the compound, for you now it's daytime. All that you need to do is to set maybe the cameras to send you alerts, like if there's somebody in the compound in the night, because that time your parents are indoors and they are sleeping. Then if you receive an alert that there's somebody in the compound, then because it's nighttime, you'll know that you are not expecting anybody at that time of night. So then you can go and check the camera to see, like, is one of my parents, unwell, and maybe people have woken up, that's why there's somebody outside, or is there somebody who is not supposed to be within the compound? If you would like to continue to discuss this, to further discuss the things that I'm mentioning here, you can comment below, you can ask your questions, because as I said, I come here to share from my experience, from the experience of my siblings and from the experience of relatives who are involved in the caregiving. So ask your questions and we'll have something to share with you. So the other thing that you can do in relation to communication is if you can get senior friendly communication gadgets. And nowadays, when we talk about communication gadgets, it's mobile phones. But then if you can get one that your elderly parents are able to operate, maybe it will be a phone which has got a bigger keyboard, because as people age, then even our eyesight ages. So if you can get one that is user friendly for their fingers, for their eyes, and with that, all that you need to do is put in the numbers that they need to call, and maybe show them how to make a phone call to you and to a few relatives, so that way you feel at ease that your elderly parents can call you, or if there is an emergency, then they can call somebody who is nearby. And another thing that you can do is to help them organize their finances, so that once they know how much money they have or how much money is coming in versus what they need to provide for, as we mentioned, if they are the ones to buy their food, to pay for their medicals, if there are other bills that they pay, including maybe power or their phones, then that way you can help them understand, if you are the one sending money, how often they will be receiving it. So that, as I mentioned at the beginning, they are not like, I have money, somebody has come to visit, let me give them this money. But if you had been proactive and you let them know that that money is supposed to last you 1 month, then that way they know. If they are gifting the money, they are not going to gift all the money. They'll look at it and be like, okay, let me give so and so much and leave so much for myself. And another thing that I would like to share with my, African sisters is about prioritizing your own well-being as the caregiver. And why do you need to prioritize that? Guys, it's because burnout is not a theory. Burnout is real, especially burnout of caregivers. It's real, it's happening. So you need to think of, if I overwork myself, who is going to, if I fall sick, if I'm unwell, who is going to take care of me, and who is going to continue providing for my elderly parents? I hope if you ask yourself that question, it will be some sort of a wake-up call. And why am I putting stress on this? Because many of us were raised, have been brought up with that idea of give, give, give. We are always giving. But we were never taught about, as you are giving, keep on checking, like, is there enough left in this cup? So that as I'm pouring for the other people into the cups of the other people, am I leaving enough for myself? Because we've been reminded very often that you cannot pour from an empty cup. So if you, the caregiver, you are not well enough, you don't have enough physical or mental energy, then tomorrow, how are you going to be able to be proactive in providing for the other? So that's why, from experience, I'm like, please take care of yourself. We are always told, always put on your oxygen mask, so that you don't faint in the process of putting on that mask on the other person first. Put on yours so that you can breathe for longer, and in the process you will be able to help many other people who need their oxygen masks on, because yours is already on. And there are many ways that we can achieve this. One of them is you set boundaries. It's good, yes, these are our loving, lovable parents. These are the people who took care of us from the time when we were young. And even to date, they still look at us as their children. They still keep on sharing a lot of wisdom with us. So these are our loved ones, but we need to put boundaries in place so that they can also be remembering, like if a parent calls you like 3-4 times a day, one of the days, like over the weekend, call them and have a very nice discussion, and then remind them that normally the times when they call you, it's the daytime at your place of work and you are at work. So can they be calling you, unless it's an emergency, can they be calling you at such and such a time? And that goes back to what I talked above about building a local support network so that your parents can also know that in case it's an emergency, it's better and easier to call the person who is nearby, to call a relative or a friend nearby. Or if they need medical care and you've already discussed about the medical facilities that they can attend, or even maybe you bought them a medical insurance cover and told them, in case you're not well, this is the place to go to. And you've been proactive, and maybe you've told them, if you don't have transport, these are the people that you can call. Maybe this is a number for an Uber that you can call to drive you to hospital, or a taxi or a cab. So it goes back again to us being proactive, so that that way your parent knows that you're not running away from them by setting the boundaries. That you are actually setting boundaries and giving them options. You've not left them without an option. So that's one way of protecting yourself from burnout. That's by setting boundaries, and also by seeking help. If you reach a point where you feel like, oh, this is too much, again, seeking help goes back to what I talked about, setting up a support network so that, you can call another relative, you can call a sibling, you can call a friend and be like, can you go home and check on mom or check on dad? Because they say they do not have food, or they say they have something that needs to be repaired, but they do not know who to call. So that way you are not the one doing everything, even the smaller things, and you are very far away. You cannot travel there. The other type of help that you can seek is maybe if you feel that you are overwhelmed, you are anxious, or even you are getting depressed, you can seek medical help, or you can join networks. Nowadays with social media, there are so many networks of caregivers where people discuss these issues. And even here, type below if you have a question, because there will be more other caregivers who will be listening to this, and you might find that the question or something that you feel is like a very big challenge, somebody else who has gone through this experience might read it here and be like, oh, go do 1, 2, 3, and that's what I did, and I solved that issue very fast. Yeah, so join networks of other caregivers. Yeah, what else? I've talked so much. Now I feel that it's your turn. It's your turn now to talk. And maybe to get you talking, what has been your biggest challenge when it comes to caregiving? Please comment below so that we can look at your challenge. And as I said, you never know. what you might consider to be a very big challenge. For some of us who are caregivers who've gone through caregiving, distance caregiving or remote caregiving, you might name something and I might be like, oh, that one, do 1, 2, 3, because as I mentioned, currently helping to do the long distance caregiving together with my siblings, and just ask me any question in relation to remote caregiving, because we've done it, we are doing it, we've learned lessons, we faced challenges, and for some of them we found a way to manage them. So yeah, comment below and tell us what has been your biggest challenge in caregiving from afar. And I would also like you to let us know of one thing that you wish you had known, before you started being a caregiver. So let's say 5, 10 years ago, before you became a caregiver, now you've been a caregiver and you've learned so many things. What is one thing that you wish you had known before you started? So please comment below, ask your question or share your experience, so that that way we can continue learning from one another and we can continue with the debate. Even if you are rewatching this session, it's okay, still go ahead and ask your questions or comment. And you know what else that you need to do? It's if you like this video and if you subscribe, it means that the next time when I come online or somebody else answers one of your questions, then it will be easier. That's how the computer system works. It will be easier for you to see that information. But first you have to comment. You have to show that you are part of the group, so that when somebody else comments, then being part of the group, the computer network will alert you to that. And to help you make your remote caregiving journey easier or more efficient, I've got a free resource that I'm going to link below. It's a checklist, because some of you, maybe you are starting your caregiving journey, or you've been a caregiver who has been doing more of the reactive and not the proactive part of caregiving. So I have a free checklist that you can download below, which will alert you to the type of things or products or services that you need to start thinking about, so that you are not caught unawares. So click below and get your free copy, which will help you stay organized, so that you achieve your goal. And I guess as somebody who lives far away from the place where you call home, as somebody who feels sometimes so stretched out with so many roles and responsibilities, because from experience as an African woman who lives far away from the place where I call home, I know so many of you out there, your daughters, your grandchildren, your mothers, your wives, your parents, your professional workers, you are a member of different organizations and associations, and sometimes you can feel so overstretched. That's why I was like, I need to develop a checklist, so that when you are thinking about your role as a caregiver, then it will help you, because you'll be like, oh, I'm going to look at the checklist. What do I need to do to help mom, to help dad, or even to help grandma, because there are those of you who also have that responsibility of providing care to your grandmother, because the reality is that many of the African immigrants, especially the women, because traditionally we are the caregivers, the caregiving role did not end when we boarded that vehicle or when we boarded that plane and left the place called home. No, we carried along most of our caregiving roles. So, yeah, sometimes you can feel overstretched, you know. Sometimes you can even feel guilty that you are supposed to be back home to be with this elderly parent or grandparent, the way it was done traditionally, that the adult children lived nearby so that the elderly parents or grandparents were easily taken care of. So you could be having that guilty feeling that you are not nearby. One thing I'm going to tell you is that you are already doing enough. You are doing a fantastic job by providing care from afar, because as a human being, you also need that self-actualization. So if being away in an urban area, in a faraway city, or even abroad, if being that far because you would like to feel fulfilled as a person, because you are pursuing your career, your dream, then you are already doing a fantastic job by providing care from afar. So please, if you are one of those who feel guilty, just tell yourself that you are doing an incredible job. You love the people that you are providing care for. If you did not love them, then you wouldn't even be here wanting to learn more on how to do it. So I hope this session has given you some ideas, some practical ideas on how to continue providing for your elderly parents from afar. That yes, it's okay, it's achievable to do that. So if you've learned something, or if you now feel more encouraged to continue providing care, if you feel maybe you are telling yourself, I'm going to be more proactive, I'm going to download the checklist so that it can help me, what I can say is that that's fantastic. You are already so many steps ahead. So if you found this useful, subscribe below, like this video, and share it with a friend. Share it with people who you know could be looking for such information. If you know of somebody, a fellow caregiver, then share the checklist or the video with them. You know, tell them about the video, share the video with them, and remind them to listen to the end, because that's where they'll find information about the checklist. So that's all that I have for you today. Thank you for coming over with me today. Thank you for taking care or providing care to your aging parents, to your elderly parents. But please don't forget to take care of yourself. Yes, put on your oxygen mask first and then help the others. So for now, it's a goodbye. Stay well, stay healthy, and until next time, it's a bye-bye.